An airplane with 12 crew members flew from Savannah to Venezuela, but there is no more news about it. The British plane radioed its location but disappeared from the radar screen seconds later. 5 training planes disappeared mysteriously during training. A plane with 13 crew members that went to the area to investigate and rescue them also disappeared mysteriously. All these events are just a small part of hundreds of others published in Miami Sunday newspaper in 1950. In this article, all these mysterious events are described with a map of their movement paths. I don't know how much you have heard about Bermuda, but the things that are said about it are very terrible. All the ships that pass through there mysteriously disappear, and planes mysteriously disappear from the radar screen in this area and are never heard of again. For all people, especially the people of Florida and Puerto Rico, this place is very mysterious, and the whole world talks about it as a supernatural phenomenon. Today, in this video, we will examine the events and secrets of the evil Bermuda Triangle from all angles and talk about the claims in this regard. We hope you enjoy watching this video. The Bermuda Triangle, or Devil's Triangle. It is the name given to this area. The reason for this name is the mysterious events that happened in an area of 500,000 square miles between Florida, Puerto Rico, and island of Bermuda. First, let's examine these events in order, and then we will reveal the mysterious secrets of these events at the end of the video. These mysterious events were even described by Christopher Columbus in 1492 AD. With the start of Columbus' journey to discover the world and the American continent, he mentioned mysterious and unnatural events in his notebook. In this book, which includes the notes of Christopher Columbus between the years 1492 and 1493, he wrote a strange note on Saturday, September 15th. The night had just begun when the firewall fell from the sky into the sea. Many people have linked this firewall to UFOs or celestial objects, but 2 days after this incident, on Monday, September 17th, another mysterious thing happened. The crew had marked the compass, but the compass did not show the pole star. Columbus continues. The sailors were very frightened but did not say why. But the captain knew what was happening. At sunrise, he again ordered to mark the north on the compass. Tomorrow, we continued on our way, but the crew never forgot the events of that night. In another incident, in January, when Columbus saw a light on surface of the sea, his son Ferdinand likened it to a luminous wax that rose and fell on the surface of the sea. What did they see? Why did the compass show the wrong direction? And why were the crew and sailors very scared? The mysterious incident of USS Cyclops. In the middle of the First World War, this ship was in the service of the American Navy to transport cargo and equipment. On March 4th, 1418, when this ship with 306 passengers and crew was crossing the Bermuda Triangle, it mysteriously and inexplicably disappeared without leaving a trace. This maritime incident was the largest non-combat loss of the life for the United States of America up to that time. Cyclops left Rio de Janeiro on February 16th, first for Salvador and within 2 days for Baltimore. In the next trip to the Sangis Islands, passing through the Bermuda Triangle. There is no trace of the fate of this ship and the people inside it. Was all this just a maritime accident, or is there a secret behind it? The mysterious incident of the 19th flight, Florida, on December 5th, 1945. A fleet of 5 planes took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida at 1410. The fleet was commanded by Lieutenant Charles Tyler, who led the training flight. This training flight was the 19th before the graduation of these students from the U.S. Naval Officer Academy. Before the flight, they had determined their route, and they were supposed to patrol the area and return to the base according to this flight route. But in the middle of the flight, they suddenly realized that there was a problem with their plane's compass. They quickly reported this by wireless. They had lost their direction, and the watchtowers in the area were trying to communicate with the fleet. Lieutenant Tyler didn't want to declare his inability in front of students. That's why he didn't care about the issue of the compasses not working. Exactly 4 hours later, at 1810, the Navy managed to determine the position of this fleet. They were 200 kilometers away from the designated route. At 1927, the Martin PVM-5 aircraft that took off from the ground to guide this fleet disappeared in the sky and from radar 23 minutes later. No one could believe what was happening. Later, a fuel tanker that was present in the area reported the explosion of a plane in the sky. The last signals of the 5-plane fleet were being received by the US Navy 6 hours after takeoff, and these signals consisted only of unintelligible noises that reached the military, because they were too far away and had inexplicably changed their direction to the east and were heading towards the ocean. No trace of the 19th flight was found. Were they lost in a fog, or extraterrestrial beings were behind the scenes? BSAA stars airplanes. January 29th, 1948, the Star Tiger plane, with 25 passengers and 6 crew members, took off from Lisbon to Bermuda Island at 15:34. Bad weather was reported. It was raining heavily, and the wind was blowing very strongly. After a distance of 10 hours, at 1:26 in the morning, another plane, which was an hour ahead of Star Tiger, sent a warning about the wind becoming stronger, but Star Tiger had missed its second emergency landing site, so it decided to continue. At 3:15 in the morning, Star Tiger managed to communicate with the watchtower on Bermuda Island. This communication was the first and last conversation between Star Tiger and the watchtower. The control tower repeatedly tried to re-establish communication with the plane for an hour and 24 minutes, but it was unsuccessful. The Star Tiger passenger plane had slowly disappeared. 404 miles northeast of Bermuda. 1 year after this incident, on January 17th, 1949, the Stallion plane, which was approaching the Bermuda Triangle, suddenly encountered engine problems and had to make an emergency landing on Bermuda Island. But the strange thing is that all the passengers were transferred to another plane on the island called Star Ariel. Their destination was Jamaica. The weather conditions were perfect for a flight. The Star Ariel plane took off from Bermuda Island at 8:41 a.m. with 7 crew members and 13 passengers. But exactly 1 hour later, it mysteriously disappeared while inside the Bermuda Triangle. All attempts to contact the Star Ariel were unsuccessful until January 22nd. An area of 140,000 square meters was searched, but no clue to a plane crash was found. Within a year, 2 planes had disappeared in the sky without leaving a trace. What do you think happened to them? The evil Bermuda Triangle and its facts. For many, the Bermuda Triangle is full of supernatural mysteries, and for others, it is an ordinary area just like any other place on the planet. But what made this area mysterious and amazing were the only incidents that have remained unsolved and unexplained until today. But maybe all these events have a logical explanation. Regarding the events that happened to Christopher Columbus, a fireball, a luminous island underwater, and the failure of the compasses, maybe a logical explanation can be given to all of them. The fireball was probably a meteorite that accidentally landed near them at that moment, just like the events that happen today in front of human eyes or CCTV cameras. But what about the error of the compass? The error of the compass also originates from the magnetic deviation that they were unaware of at that time. And to solve it, it was only enough to consider some adjustments for the magnetic deviation of the compass, just like when they readjusted the compasses with the pole star and the problem was solved. In the case of USS Cyclops, according to the research, the ship with a capacity of 8,000 tons was overloaded. George Worley, the ship's captain, had given the authorities a report of a large crack in the cylinder of one of the ship's engines before leaving the port. Also, the disclosure of Charles Ludlow's telegraph to the US State's Department changed the course of the investigation of the disappearance of the USS Cyclops. The engines are in very bad condition. In the continuation of the telegraph, it is mentioned that there are strong disagreements among the crew of the ship, and at the end, he specifies that something much worse than sinking of the ship is waiting for them. It is possible that the overloading of the ship caused dissension and discontent among the ship's crew. And Ludlow had mentioned exactly that. When they encountered unfavorable weather conditions, their death had come. The 19th flight was the most impressive of these events for me. The mysterious disappearance of 5 planes during a training flight. But the details of the investigation show us that there was nothing mysterious about this incident. After the start of the flight, the leadership of the fleet is assigned to one of the students, and Lieutenant Tyler takes over the supervision. Compasses fail. As they change course to the west, Tyler realizes they made a mistake and takes control of the fleet again. Tyler communicates with the control tower and says, "Both of the plane's compasses are out of order. I'm trying to find a takeoff location. I'm sure we're in Florida, but I don't know exactly where we are." Lieutenant Tyler had made a huge mistake. He had guessed that they were here when they were flying in a straight line and decided to reach the land by changing the direction to the east. He continued to fly, but there was no land, then completely changed the course to the east. But he was moving towards the Atlantic Ocean. His second biggest mistake was dragging all the students with him. 5 planes and 14 pilots continued to move towards the ocean until they ran out of fuel. Imagine flying in search of land until you run out of fuel. You have no way forward or back. You don't expect any help because you are sure that no one even knows where you are. It has really been a bitter and tragic end for them. Star's planes. The first plane was named the Star Tiger and was traveling from Lisbon and Portugal to Bermuda. When we look at the 60-page report of this plane crash, in the last paragraph, experts speak about an inexplicable event and a mysterious case whose secret has not yet been discovered. This is an official report. Let's take a look at it from our own point of view. According to reports, there were chronic problems with the heating system of Star planes. Sure enough, the heaters had a problem. and the pilot had to fly at an altitude of 2,000 feet to keep the cabin temperature from dropping. This height is exactly where the strong wind caused problems for them. The strong wind caused the Star Tiger to overuse fuel, but no one had calculated this. Probably due to bad weather conditions, they tried to change the route to the first alternative airport, but they did not have enough fuel, or they continued their route to Bermuda and still did not have enough fuel. It is not clear what decision the pilot made, but the incident of Star Ariel is a little different. A year later, when this plane was flying to Jamaica in Bermuda Triangle, it suddenly disappeared. Another strange thing about this incident was the pilot's last conversation with the control tower, which declared the conditions to be excellent and the altitude to be 10,000 feet. And there was no mention of any technical problems or problems with the plane. This incident could indicate an assassination attempt or an airplane explosion in the sky. According to the investigation, it was found that the Star series of aircraft had a chronic technical problem: heaters. In this report, it is stated that one of the plane's heaters was broken. And even the passenger's objection to this technical defect is also mentioned. According to one of the experts, hydraulic steam leaked from one of the sources and caused an explosion after reaching the hot air. This is the most logical theory about the sudden disappearance of the plane and the silence of the pilots. In the eyes of many of us, the evil Bermuda Triangle is a place of dark clouds and stormy seas that no plane or ship can pass through. But with a simple search, you can see that hundreds of planes and ships pass through this area every day. Also, this area has not been declared a prohibited or dangerous area by any country or government. All that happened was either carelessness or bad luck. And surely all those planes and ships are now at the bottom of the sea. Well, in your opinion, why is this area so famous for all the air and sea accidents? I should say that the reason for all this fame is only one book. A book called The Bermuda Triangle, written by Charles Berlitz, which was published in 1970 and was also on the list of the best-selling books of its time. All the events that happened in this area have a logical explanation, but compasses not working in this area is one of the undiscovered secrets in this regard. This area, with all its stories, is still a mysterious area, and it will certainly remain so. Copyright Time Spectators narrator.